Hello, animal figure collectors, in particular cartoon versions of aquatic creatures. So we have this brand called Animal Heavenly Body. I can't read Chinese, but that's what it is. Series of Laugh and Grow Fat, and maybe this is collection number 4, in which we have these 6 figures, but there's a secret chase, which is an octopus of some sort. There was plastic wrap around this, but I already took it off. So there's that. So these are made of PVC, so they can probably be quite durable, withstanding falls and stuff like that, although the paint will probably get scratched up. And they're made in China like everything. There's even a counterfeiting hologram. Nothing on the bottom. So this is, let's see what order. I'm pretty sure with all these they mix up the boxes. The box is actually quite small. We're going to start right here and see what it is and hopefully learn about one of these animals. So same information, just on an individual box. Okay, nothing there. Let's just open it from the top. Octopus. I want the octopus now. So now very often they have different size silica, so you can't guess by weight what's inside. Oh, okay, so now you don't even have to open the bag. So you can buy this. Just look at this, and now we know we have a what is it, a lionfish, I think it is. Let me look this up. So you see the image of the toy here and the real fish. It almost doesn't even look like it's cartooned. It looks like the real fish to me. Maybe the fins aren't as long. Anyways, Pterois volitans is considered the red lionfish. It's a venomous fish. You touch those spikes, you're gonna have some serious pain. And it lives in the Indo-Pacific region natively, but it has become an invasive species in the Caribbean as well as the east coast of the U.S. and the East Mediterranean. So these things are gulp feeders. They just sit, move slowly, and then they gulp in a lot of fish, and they're eating everything in the oceans. Wikipedia is saying these things can grow as large as 47 centimeters. Now, pleasantly, because besides the poisonous fins, the actual fish is edible. So moray eels, the bobbit worm even, and some groupers have been found with these in their stomachs. So that's a good thing. But humans could also eat these things. I think certain regions, they promote hunting these things, and then you could actually eat the fillets of these things. So if you ever see it on the menu, eat it, because otherwise it's going around and just eating a lot of native species. So looking at this is a really small model. It's probably like 60 millimeters in length. The height might be 40. So it's actually pretty well done. You can see the fins here are quite clear, but they painted the front edges white, and then you got these like tiger stripes of maroon on there. On the body itself, which also is clear plastic. Let me get a flashlight here. Yeah, it's a clear plastic body. They painted the white and the red stripes pretty well. Up here you can see some scaling texture, which is neat. On the bottom you got some orange stripes, more scaling. The gill area. These fins are off-white for some reason. Have some ridges in there. Yeah, these fins are off-white. Okay. And then there's this central dorsal fin area is also clear. There's actually a lot of paint going on this thing. I don't know what these little antennae thing are on the top of the head, but you can see it's gulp feeding as we speak. And yeah, so it just slowly swims and then it quickly gulps in invertebrates and clams, and well, not clams, crustaceans and stuff like that, but and probably any other small fish you can get. Well, alright, not the highlight for me, but I guess it is pretty. It's just that I don't really like pretty things. I'm a dude. So what I'm going to do is just leave the desiccant and the model in this order. Maybe they don't mix these things up. So box number 2. Let's see what we have in here. So see, this desiccant is much smaller than the other one. Here's a piece of paper. And now we have a albino looking whale. Delphinapterus? I gotta look this up. Delphinapterus lucus is better known as the beluga whale. I've heard of this whale before. So this whale is basically white, and you'll notice there's no dorsal fin. And the reason why is because this thing lives in the Arctic oceans, so it has to swim under ice a lot, so there's really not much of a fin there. So it's kind of size-wise, it's between that of a dolphin and a true whale. So males can grow up to 5.5 meters in length, or 18 feet long, and weigh, let's see, 1,600 kilos. So interesting. This thing has a malleable echolocation thing in the front of its head, this bulbous thing. It can actually change the shape of that fatty area for its echolocation to like focus the thing. So it's the reason why it's white also is because its predators are the polar bear and orcas. So if it's white, it can hide against the ice a lot better. This thing has a high degree of hearing. Humans hear between 0.02 to 20 kilohertz, but this thing can hear from 1.2 to 120 kilohertz. So basically an extra 100 kilohertz of hearing range. They tend to speak. They've been known to mimic humans as well. They're obviously intelligent, being whales or dolphins, whale-like dolphins. All right, getting into this thing, the toy here. This one, lengthwise, it's around 75 millimeters or so. And so it is white. I guess it's an off-white. It's not stark white. A little vent here. It's nice and smooth. It's like a semi-gloss finish, I suppose. It's not super glossy, but it's definitely not matte either. And it's just got a tiny black dot of an eye. You can see the seam line there of the mold. And this is a dorsal ridge, not a fin. Tiny little vent hole there. And then, I don't know why it's puckering its lips the way it is, but it is. So, yeah, okay. Not much to that one. Wikipedia says these things can live to be around 30 years old. Although these things mainly eat fish, they also do eat invertebrates like shrimp, squid, crabs, clams, octopus, sea snails, and bristleworms. These things also do migrate up to 6,000 kilometers per year. They migrate around the Arctic and the subarctic regions. You know, before you do this, quite interesting. These things are actively hunted because they're quite a populous whale, but they tend to lose money hunting them because they're almost worthless. No one really wants to eat the whale meat or use the blubber for oil anymore. But this is the only cetacean skin that's thick enough to be used as leather, and it was actually used in some of the first bulletproof vests. That's interesting. The beluga is also considered an excellent sentinel species, being an indicator of environmental change. So these things are still relatively common that scientists can get them, draw some samples, and look at what's going on in the waters of the world. And so 129 beluga adults from the St. Lawrence River were examined in the 80s and 90s, and 30% roughly, had suffered cancer from all the pollutants we're dumping into the oceans. Not cool. The beluga is one of the early cetaceans to be held in captivity by man, and you can pick one up for around $70,000 these days, according to Wikipedia. So there's around 58 belugas held in captivity in Canada and the U.S. alone, mainly because they're intelligent creatures and they can be studied for all sorts of reasons: echolocation, intelligence, and again for medical tracking and stuff like that. Whale watching is a popular one. There's just a crazy long article on beluga whales, and frankly I've run out of patience, so I'm not going to read any more. Let's move on to the next one here. We're already at 9 minutes. Oh yeah, great white. Carcharodon carcharias. We all know it as the great white shark, which is scary. Very scary. Reading Wikipedia here, so let's see. The largest preserved female was 5.83 meters in length and weighed 2,000 kilograms. It can grow roughly around 4.9 meters in length and estimated to live as long as 70 years. That's a long time for that thing to be roaming the oceans and eating who knows what. These things can swim up to 25 kilometers per hour and dive up to 1,200 meters. And if you ever watch Shark Week, you know they can jump out of the water, which is highly disturbing in its own. In the past, people thought great whites were just coastal predators living around Baja California and Hawaii. But they tagged one, and that thing swam from California to the coast of Australia and returned within a year. So now they're thinking they're not just coastal creatures, right? They could be deep sea creatures if they're capable of swimming up to 1,200 meters down. So we really still don't know a lot about these things. I mean, mankind hasn't even been able to measure these things reliably. In the past, like they've said they've caught 10, 11 meter long sharks, but they didn't know how they were measured, like what point to what point, that kind of thing. So one thing humans have been able to track with these is they have a hierarchy, a social structure. Basically, it's based on size. So very often the larger males dominate the smaller ones, and then females are larger than the males, and they tend to be at the top of the social structure. They might also travel in clans or packs. So, but I've seen images of like a massive great white being bitten by another great white. Maybe that's more of like a social revenge instead of being hungry. So Wikipedia also says when these things are young, they hunt seals and very active mammals. But as they get older, they get slower, right? So they rely more on whale carcasses. So that might be something we didn't know about. I never knew about before. They are by far the greatest human attackers of the sharks. Just in 2024 alone, 351 documented unprovoked bite incidents have occurred. So that's a lot of shark bites, 351. I don't want to go in the ocean ever again. Luckily, they do have natural predators, orcas, killer whales. And interesting, if a killer whale kills one of these things, the other great whites know it. They tend to flee the area for the whole season if they know that a great white has been killed and there's killer whales around. Okay, and then it is an endangered species in many areas, so all sorts of predation by humans and stuff. But there is shark tourism as well. So it is a white base pretty much, and then you got these little fins. Are they called caudal fins? I don't know, but a little fin there, and then these fins here have some black tips on them. The mouth is very pink, and it's got the rows of teeth, which is neat. Only 2 rows though, and the nostrils have some depth to them, and there's tiny black raised dots of eyes. And then we have some gill recesses there. Very, very short tail. Look how short that tail is compared to the rest of the body. It's funny. And that dorsal fin isn't too big either. You can see this seam line though from the molding process. Yeah, I guess you don't have a choice. You either split it this way or vertically. And so there is no seam line here that I can see. So maybe this is the wiser choice. And it is kind of shiny. Yeah. I guess it's a wet shark. It makes sense. Oh, length. I forgot about that. So this one, I would say is 9 centimeters in length, which is something like 3.5 inches. Let us move on to, I guess we'll go counterclockwise this way. Let's go octopus. Secret octopus. Oh, this had no desiccant. Nor did this one. There's no desiccant in this. So this is another big one. I have to assume it's going to be the killer whale then. Alright, and it is. It's the good old orca, which is this one's 8 centimeters. I don't even need to be measuring these things. Okay. So, let's just pop this open. Actually, I gotta get Wikipedia. Interesting. The orca is not a whale. It's a, well, it says toothed whale, but it also says the largest member of the oceanic dolphin family. I thought dolphins and whales were totally different things. So orcas will eat fish, sharks, rays, but also other mammals, seals and stuff like that. And even like the big whales, they hunt in packs. So like wolves, they'll bring down a bigger prey. Alright. Pleasantly, they've never been known to attack a human being in the wild. Only in captivity, they've killed maybe some of their handlers, which makes sense. These are intelligent creatures like elephants, remember, and go crazy every now and then because they don't like being whipped by humans. A little confusing. Here it says there's 3 to 5 types of orcas. They're distinct enough to be considered different races, subspecies, or even species. Orcas can be up to 6 tons in weight and 8 meters long. The males are larger than the females. They can see above the water as well, and they have really good echolocation abilities. So being pack animals and obviously very intelligent, they have a wide variety of eating habits. Obviously fish and mammals, but they'll also take down birds and sea turtles. So that's interesting. I guess they're just like buffets. Lastly, these things can live a long time, up to 80 years long, and they can actually go through menopause. So, just like humans, they stop producing, but they can still live for decades after their fertile goes away. Fertileness goes away. They have been known to attack boats. They know exactly what to attack. They're not trying to kill humans. They're probably trying to stop human behavior of fishing and stuff like that. And they very often outsmart fishermen and fishermen's tactics. Okay, so this one here, yeah, it's around 9 centimeters in length here. And this must be a male because it's a proportionally very tall and thin dorsal fin. So it's like 55 millimeters tall. And the base, we got the vent again. A little black in there as well. Or maybe that's just depth, I don't know. The head looks like it's a separate piece actually. The white is slightly different on the head than the base. And then it's black and white as most orcas are. Yeah, nice to have the flexible PVC, the little vent up there. And you can't even see the eyes because the whole body is black already. I don't think they even bothered painting them. Yeah, there's a tiny bump right there, but no, like you'd think they'd put a different gray there or something. But the tiny little mouth is funny. And then you got tiny little teeth. And the tongue sticking out. It's actually very cool. It's very, very funny. In particular, this whole deformation of the tails being so small compared to the body is what makes him look very fat. Okay. So, this one here. And yeah, I'm going to put that one back in this corner. Let's see what we got. This one, no desiccant either, and this is a walrus. Odopenus rosmaris is known as the walrus, of which there's 2 species, a Pacific Ocean one and an Atlantic Ocean one. So these things can grow over 2,000 kilograms in weight and 3.6 meters in length, which is pretty big, but elephant seals can actually get bigger than that. So the key feature of a walrus are its tusks. People thought that the tusks were used to dig up, food in the seabed, but now they think that's actually not the case. They're just using their whiskers to detect stuff in the seabed. These things can dive up to 500 meters in depth, but in general they just tend to stay around the seabed more at higher elevations. And they do eat a lot of invertebrates and exoskeletal creatures like shrimps and crabs, worms, corals, sea cucumbers, a variety of clams and stuff like that. But even slow-moving fish. That I did not know. Actually, with teeth this big, not many predators. Only the polar bear and orcas. But polar bears don't directly attack these things. They tend to scare them over cliffs and they fall on rocks and then they eat those dead ones. But orcas have been seen successfully killing these things in the water, because orcas are highly maneuverable. But these things will kill polar bears if the polar bear is dumb enough to fall into the water. Of course, mankind hunted these things, but now it's all regulated. Their biggest threat now is probably global warming and the lack of ice, which they do need. Alright, so this thing is around 7 centimeters in length and maybe 4 high. It's definitely a solid, heavy chunk of material here. And we got some nice skin textures here. This light brown and a darker brown. The little flippers and stuff look okay. Little creases there. But yeah, the tusks are nice. Yeah, they're like a ivory color as they should be. These can grow up to 1 meter in length on the real things and weigh up to like 5 kilos. Those are the whisker indentations, but obviously no whiskers. We got a really funny cartoony looking nose and like this really funny looking frown and just black beady eyes. That seems to be the theme amongst this collection here. And this one parted vertically. You can see the seam line of the mold there. It almost looks like a big fat worm or like a mole. Alright, a little imperfection there. There's some dark color there, some dry brushing of a lighter tan maybe. So a couple different paints and dry brushing make it look pretty effective. Alright, last chance here, which I guess would most likely be the sea turtle, but possibly an octopus. You never know. And again, no desiccant. And it is a sea turtle. Cheloneomytis, maybe? Cheloneomytis is known as the green sea turtle. It lives in tropical and subtropical seas around the world, the Atlantic, Pacific, the Indian Ocean. I've actually seen one of these in the wild, swimming around Hawaii once. Suffice to say, I could not keep up with it. It was just cruising along and I tried my best to try to keep up with it. No way. These things can grow up to 1.5 meters in length and weigh up to 190 kilos. So the diet of these things changes with age. As young juveniles, they're carnivorous, eating fish, eggs, any animal they can get, really. But as they get older, they become omnivorous, so they start eating seaweed and vegetation. These green turtles can sleep or rest underwater for several hours, but if they're actually doing something active, it's only like a few minutes. So these things drown very easily when they get caught up in shrimp trawlers and other fishing gear. And now I know why I can't keep up with these things. These are the fastest turtles in the ocean. They can swim 40 miles per hour when they're swimming, so that's the fastest sea turtle apparently. Alright. They do return to the same beaches that they were born in, and they migrate obviously all over the world and stuff like that. So the larger sharks, in particular the tiger shark, is its greatest threat in the natural world, but really the greatest threat is humans. This is an endangered species. Poaching, boat propellers, all sorts of human-related fishing, that sort of stuff is what's causing the demise of these things, unfortunately. Alright, well, that's all I can really say about that. Don't kill sea turtles. This one's 7 centimeters in length, and this one's highly detailed. The base is yellow, and you got some white in between those plates. And then you can see the nice forming, sculpturing of these fin flippers with their scales or whatnot. And then you have this bottom of the beak there. You got some different paint washes, it looks like, in here. And then coming up we have some white dry brushing on top of this brown and white printed graphic, it looks like. So this head might have been tampo printed, actually, these white lines at least. And there's it looks like a wood texture, a couple different browns overlapping there. And then the eyes here, they're just black. They're not glossy, they're matte finish. And then you got yellow and these little brownish dots going around there. The top of the fins are more black color, but there's white going into the grooves, so that could be another paint wash. And then you got the skin here with different colors of tan and brown. And then the shell itself, the carapace, kind of like an orangey color, and then dark brown and a light tan, and then some white in between the plates of this thing. Even the little tail there is very, yeah, this is a really well detailed turtle. It looks like the photographs, just cartooned. Look at this. So well done. Alright. Well, I didn't get the octopus. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it or not. If I can get it cheap, I will, but I don't want to overpay. Honestly, I really only just wanted these two things. I think the great white, even though I'm deathly terrified of these things, these are very cartoony. You know, great white. It's just so fat compared to the tail. The orca is really cool. This is nice and all, but it actually doesn't look that far off from a regular green turtle. I mean, it's really tall, but it's not cartoony enough for me. This is definitely, well, I mean, these are fat creatures also. That doesn't look that cartoony. This, I guess, is pretty cartoony, but this is not an interesting whale so much to me. And then honestly, this looks just like a regular lionfish, so this is barely tuned. I don't know if this is the best choice to do. It's well executed, just not tuned. So you'll see these are the only two with desiccant, and these guys, you know, I'm trying to see if there's much of a difference. Hold on. If you're really hoping to know, this beluga comes in at 65 grams. This lionfish, 71 grams, so that's going to weigh a little heavier. The great white, 96, so that's noticeable. You will definitely know these two are much lighter. Well, I don't know, definitely this one. Maybe, I don't know if you can tell a 20-gram difference. 96, this one, 70, that's a big difference still. This one, 60, this one, 98. So 60, 70, 98. What was this again? Oh, this is the order of weight here. 68. Yeah, you're not going to tell those two apart. 65. I don't think you're going to be able to tell 5 grams apart either. So I feel like these three are, you'll never be able to figure those out. But you will be able to guess maybe these three are heavier than at least this one, that's for sure. It's hard to say. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick that up. I tried for you guys. If you're hunting for those three in particular, you might have a good chance just picking up the heaviest box. Or maybe you rattle it around and see if you can hear that noise. If you can't hear that, it's probably going to be one of those four, right? If you happen to have a retail outlet selling these. Well, although this video is 30 minutes long, I spent several hours making this video because I had to read those Wikipedia articles. I just paused and read off stuff for you guys. So I actually learned quite a lot about these 6 animals that I never even knew before. I knew what all these animals were, but the details of them is quite interesting. So anyways, they're durable toys, being PVC. If you drop it from a bookshelf, it's not going to shatter. You might chip some paint, but out of the box, they're all well painted. No major quality problems from this brand that I've noticed. And if you like cartooned animals, I think you should look up Animal Heavenly Body. Or get this whole wave even. Alright, well, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next animal video.